Yeah, bop, 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 bop. I just had to make this video to share something with you guys. Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Kyle from Hospitality MD, coming at you with a little bit of a reaction. This post, actually, I found it in one of the online Facebook groups for hotel and hospitality people, which I've been talking about a lot more recently on the podcast, and I will say it again. If you are in the hotel or hospitality industry and you're not a member of these Facebook groups, you're making a mistake. This is a great way to keep a pulse on what's going on in the industry as a whole, and especially outside of your individual market. For example, I'm used to the Chicago market, urban, global, kind of top 25 market here, and I'm not so much used to knowing how a breakfast attendant is feeling in Topeka, Kansas, at a Quality Inn and Suites. And this is a great way to keep a pulse on a sample size of what's going on around the country in every segment and facet of the industry. With that being said, if the person who posted this happens to see this, or anybody in the group happens to see this, I in no way intend to throw anybody under the bus. However, I do think this is obviously it came up for a reason, right? So I want to talk about it, and I think it could benefit a lot of people to kind of have this conversation and maybe bring it up with your teams at the hotel. So with that, here's the post. Question: what is your policy on free bottled water? I had a long-term guest just go batshit crazy because I wouldn't give her 12 free bottles of water. For us at Hilton, it's 2 bottles of water for Gold and Diamond members upon arrival. She isn't even an honors member. I was going to give her 2 and proceeded to explain the process, but she started screaming at me and called me an idiot. That's when I just walked away from her. Thoughts? As a matter of fact, I do have some thoughts on that. So, first of all, disclaimer right off the bat, I absolutely in no way agree or sign off on any sort of abuse taking place from guests to staff. You know, as somebody who's had to step in on those interactions plenty of times before, I certainly don't agree with it, and there's always a better way to go about it. Now, I will say, with that in mind, as a hospitality professional, and if I was this person's manager or colleague, I wouldn't be signing off on the agent's behavior as well. I mean, okay, so we have a long-term guest, and by the way, I did a little research on this particular individual and where they are. So he said it was a Hilton. Specifically, we're talking about Home 2 Suites by Hilton, which is by design an extended stay property. We get it, the policy, right? 2 bottles of water for Hilton Honors members upon arrival, regardless of the length of stay. Which, to me, obviously, that's a brand standard, right? That's a policy that's in place. But when I read that and I see that policy, to me, I think of it as the minimum basic requirement for the brand. If you have a guest who's staying, let's just assume 12 nights because she wanted 12 bottles of water. I have a feeling it's probably more than that, which means conservatively, if her rate was $109 per night for 12 nights, I mean, that's $1,300 with what I assume to be little to no stayover service. And, you know, breakfast is grab and go for most of these places anyway, when the cost was already low to begin with. So you have a long-term piece of business staying in your hotel and they just want some water, and we're going back to the Hilton Honors policy book to address this? To me, that's just simply short-sighted and unacceptable. Now, for one, I don't necessarily blame the agent specifically, because I understand that this train of thought is more than likely a result of lack of empowerment, anxiety, fear. when somebody is so rigid in sticking with policies and procedures, my first instinct is that this person is afraid of retaliation from the ownership or management company or on-site management. So I empathize with this agent. Let's also empathize with the guests for a second. They're paying $1,300 during what we're seeing as a terrible recession. Granted, we are on the come up, but again, a recession in terms of the consumer's money. During the worst crisis on record for the hotel industry. So you have a long-term piece of business, somebody spending their money when you need it most, and we're going to be strong-arming a guest over some bottles of water. Has anybody stayed at a hotel? Because this has happened to me more times than I can count. Staying at a hotel, AC is slapping a little bit harder than it would at home, and I wake up in the middle of the night with cotton mouth. My mouth is dry. I realize to myself, oh, okay, maybe I have a couple inches of water at the bottom of the bottle that I bought at the airport or at the gas station on my way to the hotel. But that's it, and I'm still really thirsty, so I walk over to the coffee setup, and I'm like, okay, here's 2 bottles of water, $3 each. And most times than not, I'm going to succumb to that, or I'm going to go to the sink and drink the water, but sometimes you aren't familiar with it. There's so many variables, but bottom line is it sucks when you have to pay for water and you're caught in the middle of the night with cotton mouth at the hotel and you have no choice but to pay for it and drink water that you don't know is good to drink or not, or just deal with it, right? So if somebody's staying for long term, what I would do in this situation, instead of trying to, when she proceeded to explain the process and give her 2 bottles of water, thank you so much for staying with us. We really appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and get you a case of water and have it delivered to your room, so you don't have to worry about it. If you run out, let me know and we'll happily get you another case. Thank you so much for staying with us, and let me know if I can provide you any more assistance to make you feel more at home. Imagine how far that would have gone with the guest. For probably 20 cents, if that a bottle, is going to give that guest a feeling of comfort, being anxiety-free, and feeling like they're really being taken care of. Because I'm looking at some of the comments here. I have faith in the industry, right? I see a lot of people who have my same thought process, which is let's just give them the water. Why are you doing this? But there are quite a bit of people who are saying, by giving in to this guest, we're creating monsters in the industry, we're entitlement, and then when they go to another Hilton property, they're going to be expecting something different. I get it, right? I get it. I can't imagine what you guys are going through if you feel that way and you've been so disillusioned by what's going on that you've forgotten hospitality. But let's not forget why we're here: to relieve people's anxiety, make people feel comfortable. And you know what? If a guest wants to have some water, just give it to them. Just give it to them. Don't forget to subscribe and definitely check out our podcasts anywhere you get podcasts. And we'll see you again with another scenario. Thanks for listening.